This shit been hot now.
Not really.
Good or low?
Nah, it should warm up in a minute. Should be alright in a second. Is it? These notes.
Nigga healed hot top as well.
I can't remember what say the first is. I don't know, I'm gonna go to my screen. This is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday low class one. So just give me 1 minute. I'm just putting up these notes.
My cards are check.
Is this one? Yeah, this one should be on. I believe this one comes on. Hold on, let me see what I'm Give me 1 second. I forgot we received it. Let's see. So. If I can say that again. Oh, here it is. Let me save it again. All right, yeah, here they are. This is the Wednesday law class. Also, remember, check out Commanding General Yohanna's radio show, which is Monday 2 a.m. UK time, and we also got classes in the States, which is Monday through Friday, which is midnight UK time, and then we also got classes here in Birmingham. Monday the history class 7 p.m. till 9. Wednesday, Brotherhood, the law class, 7 p.m. till 9. Thursday, scripture breakdown, 7 p.m. till 9. And Friday, on the ends, the radio show from 9 till about 11 or 12. Also, there's an online class in London, 7 p.m. till 9, the Brotherhood class. Then on Saturdays, we have the Sabbath service. So we've got a ton of things going on in the UK. Also, remember, December 9th is the Feast of Hanukkah, the Feast of Dedication. So come on down to that, man, which is 394 Lodge Road, B18 5PW. So that's 394 Lodge Road, B18 5PW. Also, call the school. Come on down to that, man. We're going to be here from 7 p.m. until. So, yeah, man. Come on down and celebrate something that the Lord said you allowed to, man, instead of celebrating Christmas and Easter and everybody else's holidays. Meanwhile, this is one of our memorials, man. This is one of our memorials when we got our temple back, when we took our culture back. Because why? What the Greeks was doing was slaughtering us and trying to make all of us Greek and forget our customs and our culture. And many of our people gave up their customs and their culture, and became as the Greeks and got a license from the Greeks to sin, man. Meaning we want to do what you lot do. We want to partake in your Christmas. We want to partake in your Easter. That's what many of our people done. But there were some brothers that stood strong for the Lord and fought against it. And the same brothers that stood strong back then, the same brothers in the UPK, which is standing strong right now, man. Everyone outside of here is what? Getting ready to celebrate Christmas. Asking where can I get Christmas lights from? Where can I get a nice Christmas tree from? That's what everybody else is asking. Meanwhile, us in here, we don't give a damn about Christmas, man. We ain't celebrating it. To us, it's just another pagan holiday, man, that we hate. Another one that we hate, and we have to see our people. Our people's got no money, but they find money that day to put lights on the Christmas tree. They find money that day to get the presents, to get the laptops and the iPads. Talking about, oh, I'm hiding this in the shed because I don't want him to see it. Listen, man, all of that's nonsense. All of that's nonsense. We're in a pandemic. Debenhams is closing down. You see that one? They're finally closing down now. Debenhams is losing 12,000 jobs. Topshop's gone into administration. All these things is closing down. Debenhams was around. They said Debenhams has been around for like what? 60 years, 50 years, 60 years. Debenhams is closing down, man. Topshop's also closing down. And you mean to tell me you're wasting your money on wrapping paper? Save that wrapping paper money, man. Save that electric and Christmas tree money, man. Save it, because the time's coming when you're going to need it. But, you know, who am I? You don't need to listen to me. You can keep celebrating these pagan holidays and you can learn the hard way. So we're going to go into the topic, which is everything which is written of in the Bible was written for our learning, man. Everything that you read about in the Bible, a wise person would learn from. Meanwhile, men's mistakes in the Bible, a wise person would learn from it. Women's mistakes in the Bible, a wise woman would learn from it. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to read these things and learn from what we read. What's the point of us reading these records which the Lord has left if we're not going to learn from them? If we're going to do the same thing that they done to mess up, we need to read about how we lost the kingdom, how we ended up in England, man, how we ended up as slaves, how we ended up at the bottom.
That's right.
We need to read these records and find out, all right, then, for us to take such a great fall, like, what did we do? And when we read it, we'll realize what we done, and then we'll realize what gets us on top. We'll realize, all right, why we go to prison so much, why we die so young. If we read these records, we'd understand why we die so young, man, why our children die so young, and why most of our fathers is in prison and so forth. We'd read these records and we would learn from it. We'll be like, all right, then, if I do that there, I'm going to end up in this position. If I do what that man done, I'm going to end up in this position. You don't need to make these mistakes yourself. Now we're at a time where the mistakes that we're making, there's men and women who's made the mistakes before us.
That's right.
So if we learn from the mistakes that they made, we don't ever have to make that mistake. But if I could, Romans chapter 15 and verse 4.
Romans 15 and 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through.
So it says whatsoever things were written aforetime was written for our learning. All these records is for us to learn from.
That's right.
Everything that men done and got punished for it is for us to learn from. Everything that men done and done right is for us to learn from. Like, all right, that the Lord liked it when that brother done that, so I'm gonna do the same thing. The Lord liked it when these brothers stood stiffly for his word. I'm gonna do the same thing. The Lord hates it when men leave the truth. I'm not gonna do that. You're meant to learn from people's mistakes. But if you ain't learning from people's mistakes, there's no point you reading the records, man. You're just reading them and you're wasting everybody else's time. Read on.
Were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
That we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. Meaning, the comfort of these scriptures is what? Knowing one day we're going to receive a kingdom, man. We're not going to be in this position forever. The comfort of the scriptures is what? Righteous men died and the Lord told them, yo, these is my prophets and these men are going to be back in the earth, man. These things give us hope, knowing what? the Lord's prophets come back into the earth. It gives us hope. People that don't read the Bible, they've got no hope, man. And this is why when they lose a loved one, it's sad, and all we get it. It's sad. It is sad, but the way how they go on, like they will cry and mourn for what the rest of their life, man. They won't get up in the morning. They'll just stay in bed all day, and they end up making themselves so depressed because they don't know that that person's coming back, man.
That's right.
They don't know that all of us that die, we just come back, but obviously we just don't know who's who, and that's it. What we do, come back in the earth. Same like we was what in the wilderness one time. We was in Egypt one time. We was around at the time of Christ one time. And what happens? You die and come back in the earth. But the Bible says, strive not in genealogy. So what? We don't do things like, oh, I believe you was Paul in the past life. I believe you was Moses in the past life. We don't do that, man. You are who you are now, man. That's who you are. Focus on who you are now and be a better person who you are now. Don't focus on the past like, oh, I think I'm this person. Because you'll never know. But I'll read that one more time from the top.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
All these things were written for our learning. And a wise man does what? Learns from what was written. Now, when you go to a store and when you're online shopping and you want to buy something, what do? You read the reviews, man. You read the reviews and then buy them review. Especially if you go on Uber. Is it Uber Eats or Just Eat? Especially if you go on Just Eat. You read them reviews, man. If you see one place has got 2 stars and people say, no, it took 2 hours to come and it was cold, you learn from their mistakes, man. And you say, I'm not going to order from there. Or if you see there's a place on Just Eat with 5 stars and everyone's bigging it up and you hear from word of mouth, that place is good, that place is good. Guess what happens? You say, you know what, I'm going to go there. The same way you learn from them reviews on Just Eat and Uber Eats and whatnot. Learn from the Bible, man. You see what the Lord punished certain men for, and then for you to just go and do the same thing that they done, obviously the Lord's going to punish you also, man. Like people make it like it's one big puzzle when it's not. It's pretty straightforward. You disobey, you do the opposite to what the Lord says, you're going to get punished. You do what the Lord says, he's not going to punish you. It's that simple, man. Do what the Lord says, he'll reward you. You do what you do what the opposite to what he says, he's going to punish you. It's that simple. All you have to do is do what the Lord says, man. It's not that hard. And then come in here and you can learn to do what the Lord says properly. Because outside of here, people teach you the Bible and they don't teach you it properly. Like you got some lunatics teaching you that what you can't eat meat and cheese, that you can't eat a cheeseburger and all of that nonsense. Those things ain't true, man. People teaching you that you can't eat what? Potatoes. People teach you that you can't eat potatoes. Things like that, man. Like, based on listen, you learning anywhere outside of the I.S.U.P.K. Listen, you ain't learning nothing. And you can't drink while you teach, like that lunatic that phoned in the other day was saying, Shalom, YAHANNA.
Shalom, YAHANNA.
Christ. So yeah, man, all these lies, you need to be here to what? Find out what is true and what isn't true. Because a lot of these fake Israelite groups is what? Teaching you wrong, man. Teaching you lies. And you know it's lies, man. Like the things that they teach you.
That's right.
It makes you miserable, man. Imagine a man telling you have to eat cold sandwiches on the side. You're gonna be miserable, man. I'd be miserable too. Imagine that this one day off. This one day off you got from your slavery, man. This one day off you got from your job. And you can't watch the TV. You can't put on no music. You can't have a drink. Imagine that, man. On this one day off you got from work. Which means what? You're going to end up drinking on the job, man. Because that's the only time you're allowed to drink according to them. On the job. Listen, man. Don't let people lie to you about the Sabbath. They don't understand the Sabbath, man. Christ said what? We the Lord of the Sabbath. Meaning you rule over the Sabbath day, man. Meaning that's your day for you to do what you want. You're in charge of what you want to do on your Sabbath day, man. That's what it is, man. It's like a landlord. What does a landlord do? A landlord decides how he wants his land to look, man. A landlord decides how much rent he's going to charge you, man. A landlord decides, all right, I want to knock this wall down and I want to put an extra room in there. And what gives him the right to do that is what? He's the lord of that land, man.
That's right.
Him being the lord of that land gives him the right to decide he can do whatever he wants with that building. And listen, man, I'm lord over the Sabbath, so I'm allowed to watch TV, man.
That's right.
I'm lord over the Sabbath, so I'm allowed to drink and put my feet up. Why? Because I'm lord over the Sabbath. Don't ever let no one have you sitting in the dark eating cold sandwiches, man. You doing that, Sabbath's lord over you, man. But most people don't understand these scriptures. But Tazarpan, can you get me Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 11?
Come on.
So we're gonna go further, man. Like with Solomon was so wise that, and when you're wise, you start to look at certain things. Like when you're wise, you look at things differently to how the average man looks at it. And this is why in the I.S.U.P.K, we look at things differently to how the rest of the world look at it.
That's right.
Right.
So like
Right,
the other one, Ecclesiastes.
Ecclesiastes 1 and 11.
One, God, no sweat. I got it.
No, sir.
So read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Come on. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 11. There is no remembrance of the former things.
There's no remembrance of the former things, man. Meaning, there's no remembrance of your previous life.
Right.
Once you die and come back, there's no remembrance of what you done before. But you come back in your family lineage. So this is what you should do, man. If you raise your kids right, guess what? Hopefully you can come back. If them kids keep on to that tradition, by the time it's time for you to come back in the earth, guess what? You might be born back again in the truth, man.
That's right.
You will come back in the truth under them kids. But if you be like, oh, I'm gonna be a drug dealer, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna teach my son to be this and that, guess what? You're gonna come back as some crack baby, man. Why? Because them kids that you've taught your ways and you've passed on, they pass that down to their kids, to their kids, to their kids, to their family members until you come back in that same cycle. Whereas what we're doing right now in the I.S.U.P.K, we breaking that cycle, man. We breaking that cycle. Like the other day, man, me and Tazarpan last Saturday was having a conversation about if we knew what we knew now back then. Remember that convo we was having?
That's right. Yeah. God.
Having that convo, man. Me and Tazarpan was saying, if we knew what we knew now back then, we would have stayed in school, man. Would have stayed in school, got the education, made that money, been in the truth, everything, man. Everything would have been going good right now. But guess what? We had to learn the hard way, man. So now what do we do that we have to learn the hard way? We pass these examples on to our children now. We tell them, you know what? In my day and age, I messed up. I could have been doing this. But I had no one to give me the guidance. I'm here to give you the guidance. That's right. So you see, like how our mothers didn't really care whether we was in school or not. We care if our children is there, man. Right. We care if where our children are. You see, like how you used to get all that freedom. You used to get all that freedom to do whatever you want. We don't give our children all the freedom to do whatever they want. And guess what? Now, when they realize how strict you are, they're not gonna like you at the moment. But as they get older, they're gonna thank you for it, man.
That's right.
Thank you for it. Like everybody knows, being a father, you have to be hard on these kids. And growing up yourself, most of us didn't like our fathers until we had our own children. And then when you have your own children, you realize, you know what? I realized why my father was like that. Because he didn't want me to run wild. He didn't want me to be like everybody else around here who's fatherless. Like look at it. Like when you look at kids who have no father, and then you look at ones who do, the children who have a father, you realize that their life is more structured. Like
that's right.
They're not allowed to do the same things that the fatherless kids are allowed to do. Like they ain't allowed to be out till all hours in the morning. They ain't allowed to be smoking cigarettes and doing whatever they're doing. Whereas the ones with no father, people look at them and be like, I want to be like them because they're free. Not realizing them kids is ruining their life, man. Not realizing those same ones that you want to be like is going to be the same ones 10 years down the line who's going to end up in jail. 10 years down the line, who's going to end up in jail, man. Like growing up, man. Like growing up, my dad was so strict that we wasn't allowed to play out the front. We weren't allowed to play out the front. And back then, my dad had an old white Fiesta, man. He had an old white Fiesta, so we would see it come around the corner, and we knew that meant run inside, man. You see that car come around the corner, that meant run inside. Whereas a few of my neighbors, their father wasn't around, so they was allowed to play out the front and do whatever they want. And I still speak to some of them till this, day. And guess where they are right now? In jail, man. They're in jail, man. One of them has been in jail for over 10 years on IPP, still can't get released. Been in jail for over 10 years, man. Still got the brain of an 18-year-old, man, because he went in jail when he was about what, 18, 19. Still got the brain of an 18-year-old, thinking that when he comes out of prison, he's gonna be playing outside. There's a time in life when you grow up. You see, once you grow up, there's no more playing outside, man. Everyone's doing their own thing. But if you've still got that childlike mind, you're gonna be knocking on people's doors saying, "Come, let's go here, let's go there." And listen, man, there's nothing in that. But read on to the upper one.
Yeah. Khan. There is no remembrance of the former things. Neither.
No remembrance of the former things, man. Go ahead.
Neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after.
Neither is there remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. Meaning, people that come after, them things that come after, there's no remembrance also. Meaning the things before you don't remember, the things which come after you don't remember. Read on.
Verse 12. I, the preacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem, and I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven.
And what did Solomon do? Solomon was what? King over Israel, and he sought out to search out all things which is done under the sun, meaning search out what like usually, like us in the I.S.U.P.K, we see what people do and we be like, all right then, do you really think that's fun? And some people actually really think it's fun. Like there's some things that people do and we be like, we search it out like what possesses you to do them things? Solomon was wise, and Solomon searched out all things which was done under the sun, meaning drug dealers, no drug dealing is wrong, but they do it and they brag about it.
Right.
Now we look at these things like, don't you see the end which is going to come to you? We look at our brothers that join gangs and look at it like, don't you see the end that's going to come to you? Don't you see where this is going to lead to? And because they ain't got the wisdom, they don't see it. But the Lord's blessed you with the wisdom to see it. Like you see the end of a drug dealer. Why? Because you study these scriptures, man. You see the end of a murderer. Why? Because you study these scriptures. You see the end of a whore. Why? Because you study these scriptures. Whereas 15 men would be trying to sleep with the same one woman, and they don't see how this is going to end. They don't see how this is going to end. Whereas you have the wisdom of how it's going to end. Why? Because you study these scriptures. Now, not everyone is blessed to have this wisdom. There's some people out there that will say what, like you say, I don't mess with next man's women. A man will say, huh? Why? A man in the world will say, why not? You ain't trying to keep her. It's just one night. That's what he'll say to you. You ain't trying to keep her. It's just one. It's a one-off. And then you're looking at him like, is that really how you think? And he can't understand. Right. He can't understand why you think one way and why he thinks another way. And the thing is this:
that's right.
You have the wisdom of the Lord. He don't have that wisdom. It's like a child. You have the wisdom to know that don't put your hand in the fire because it's gonna burn you. Whereas a child doesn't have that wisdom. A child puts everything in their mouth, sticks pens and knives in the plugs. Whereas you have that wisdom, you're gonna electrocute yourself. People out here without the wisdom are like children, man. What I read on.
That's right. Okay. And I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. This sore travail has God given to the Son of Man,
meaning
to
this
be exercised therewith.
Solomon said, "What? This sore travail God given to the sons of man." Meaning, Solomon saying, "Damn, these things that I'm seeing is rough, man. Like this is sore and pain. Like sometimes we look at black people and think, we think that's wise, and it pains us to think that to see that they think like that, man. Like it pains us to know that this black man's gonna end up destroying himself, man. This black man's gonna end up killing himself and losing his family, and this woman taking drugs is gonna end up having a drug overdose. It pains us to see these things, and with this wisdom, we see the end. So it pains us because we see the end result. Whereas with them, they don't see the end result. They live for now. Like partying's okay. Partying's one thing. When I say partying, I'm not on about anything attached to. I'm on about you going to a club. That's fine, but why do you need to take speed and MDMA? What else do they take in the clubs these days? See all these drugs in. What's the need to take all these drugs in the club? And it ends one way, man.
Right.
You being rushed to hospital, having some drug overdose, or what happens is what your drink ends up getting spiked. You taking drinks off random strangers.
Right.
Your drink ends up being spiked, and then you're in some man's house and you don't know who he is, and this man is on top of you having sex with you, and you don't know where you are, and then what? You've just now traumatized yourself for life. Go ahead.
So like one Chinese man, I think it was Manchester. You remember he was raping bare people?
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
It was raping him just because of that. The partying too hard. He would drug him up, rape them. I think he raped like some triple figures,
100 and something.
100 something men. And how someone found out was that the drug didn't work properly, and they came out of the trans.
Yeah.
And when he went for his phone, it was keeping souvenirs of like man's boxes and whatnot. Like shit was mad.
And the sad thing is, most of the men that was raped didn't even know that they was raped. And guess how they found out? By a video, man. Because he kept all the video footage in his phone. I think he got life, right? Yeah, he got life. So he was like what would happen is he would wait outside the club and see people who get kicked out the club. And he'll say to them, "Oh, don't worry, come home, come here, come here." He would take them to his house, put things in their drinks, and then that would make them pass out. Then he would rape them. And this is why you can't be taking drinks off strangers, man. Like, it's just common knowledge that you can't be taking drinks off strangers, especially in that kind of setting, man. You taking drinks off, and furthermore, why would you want to take a drink off a random Chinese man anyway? Like, why? Solomon seen all these things. He searched out everything under heaven, searched it out. All right, then. Why do the drug dealers sell drugs? They think they're getting a car and all the women, and then guess what? Another drug dealer is going to come blow your head off, or you're going to jail, and guess what? Everything you sold drugs to get, when you go to jail, it all goes. Man. They repossess the car, they repossess the house. Another man's having sex with your woman. Listen, man, you lose all these things. The same things you sold drugs for is the same thing which you've now lost and haven't got. And Solomon seen the outcome of all these things, and us in the UPK, we see the outcome of all these things, but people in the world don't see it. They see it as, all they think is, well, if I'm a good drug dealer, I won't get caught. Understand this, man. The white man might not catch you, but the Lord will catch you, man. Right. You might can escape him for a bit, but you can't escape the Lord. And the Lord will come and catch you in his timing, man. Read on. This feed is a little slow. Tazapon, you still there?
So like I don't want to joke, it's kind of chipping out. I'm not sure if it's gone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Connor can hear you.
Can, yeah, I'm saying you just chipped out 2 times just then, so I'm not sure if it's my phone or the feed itself.
Can you hear me properly now?
I can hear you properly now. It's back to normal. You can, yeah.
All
right. Reading on other one. And this sore travaileth. God. This sore travail has God given to the sons of man to be exercised therewith. I have seen all works that are done under the sun.
And Solomon saw all the works. Solomon saw all the works which was done under the sun. And what's done under the sun? Everything, murders, drug dealers, prostitution, everything, man. Under the sun is what? The earth. So you look at, why do people do these things? Like, Imagine like you sell yourself for sex, like meaning what? You sell yourself for what? £20, £40, however much the charge. I got no idea, and I never have no idea, but however much the charge, they sell their body. And then when you look at what they purchase, you look at it like, okay, so you sold your body to get a Gucci bag. Like it makes no sense. And then now they've leveled up a little bit. If you look at these influencers, what they do is have sex with rappers so they can get like expensive gifts. So they're saying what? That a Gucci bag is worth more than their body.
That's right.
That's what they're saying. They're saying that a designer bag is worth more than their body. So all these celebrities and whatnot, these influencers, especially in the UK, they're willing to give up their body for a handbag. Something they don't need, which makes no sense, man. It makes no damn sense. Solomon, sin, all these things. And let me hit you with another one, man. Usually, based on what a woman wants, it should let you know what kind of woman she is. Like, based on what a woman asks you for, it should let you know what kind of woman she is. Now, if a woman asks me, can you buy me a cooker? Straight away, you know that's a decent woman. That's a somewhat of a decent woman, man. If she says, can you buy me a cooker? Can you buy me a Hoover? But go ahead. Go ahead to drop on.
No, okay. I clocked on, but it was chipping out. I couldn't hear.
Oh, it was chipping out. Oh. So yeah, man. You know, based on what a woman asks you for, what kind of woman she is. If a woman asks you for a cooker straight away, that lets you know she's somewhat got little ambition. Probably not a lot, a little, just a little. Right. It lets you know something's there. Lets you know there's something in her head. There's something there. If she asks you for a Hoover, a broom, an apron, things like that, it lets you know there's something decent in her head. But these ones asking you for a Gucci bag and a Birkin bag, it lets you know that they've been watching too much internet, man. It lets you know what kind of woman this is. It lets you know eventually child support's going to come. Asking for a Birkin bag. Why? Because they hear all these rappers talk about Birkin bags. So this is why most women, you need to know what you find out what you need to know about them within the first 5 minutes. Like you just ask them some questions and you know, based on what they say, you know, if this is someone worth pursuing or not. Usually you know what you need to know about a woman from basically you know where her mind's at within the first 10 minutes of conversation, man. If she likes Dwayne Wade and says, yeah, man, kids have the right to decide what they want to be, that should let you know run a mile, man. That should let you know run a mile, man. Straight away, man. Any woman that's saying, oh, yeah, the child has the right, because guess what that means? If you have a child with her, your child's going to have the right to be a boy dressed as a girl. So certain things you avoid, man. Certain things you avoid, and you ask questions, and you know, you sister should ask men questions too. See where their mind's at, man. See what their goals in life is. See what they want to do with their life. See if they've got ambition also, man. If you hear them talking about, oh yeah, my life is selling drugs and I'm in this gang, that should make you run a mile, man. You should be like, well, this ain't the kind of husband that I'm looking for. That should make you say, this ain't the kind of husband that I'm looking for. Because what's going to happen? One day he's going to what? Go to jail, man. Or one day he's going to do what? Start them drugs himself. Or one day another drug dealer is going to kill him or rob him. Like, why? Why, when you can avoid certain situations, would you put yourself in it, man? If any woman saying to me, oh, yeah, the child has the right. I believe a child has. Usually as well, when you ask these questions, they kind of get on the defensive and say that, what do they call you, a bigot and a homophobic? They call you a bigot and a homophobic. That is your cue to leave, man. That is your cue to leave. And because just understand this, if you do have a child with her and you do try to get custody of that child, and you go to the court and say, because she's making my child who's a boy become a girl, the judge don't care about that, man. The judge is going to probably put you in jail, man, and call you a homophobic as well. you better off avoiding that situation. And prevention's better than cure, man. You know where, usually most people, you know where things is going. You just don't even let it go there. But read on.
Yeah.
Oh, has he dropped out? Verse 14. Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 14. Tazarpon, can you hear me? Or is your...
I can hear you.
Is it choppy again?
I can hear you, yeah.
Oh, most in Christ.
You're going in and out. You're going in and out.
Someone online, give me a 1 if our sounds too up. It might be your one. Just refresh it and then come back in.
God.
Probably your one. I think this side should be too up.
God.
The price they're charging for the internet, shit. With the price they're charging for the internet, it better be too up, shit.
Ecclesiastes 1 and 14. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity.
Listen, man. Everything that you're doing under the sun, all is vanity. Meaning what? All this drug dealing you're doing is pointless, man.
That's right.
All these hoes you're chasing is pointless. All you sisters swinging from poles is pointless. Solomon was wise and had wisdom, and Solomon searched out everything, and everything that he's seen was vanity and a waste of time. Because the end result of everything that you're doing only leads to death. Like you thinking you coming up, but you're not coming up, man. So this is why we don't mind that the drug dealers stunt on us, man.
That's
What do we care, man? What do we care, man? These drug dealers stunt on us. Coming to the camp. Oh, you see that car over there? That's that's nice. Enjoy your car, man. Enjoy it. Because what we know that everything you got is vanity, and it amounts to nothing. And you can't drive that car when you're dead or in jail, man. Meanwhile, when you're dead or in jail, guess what? I still got my 2 feet walking to the camp, man, going up and down. Solomon searched out all these things and seen it was vanity and a waste of time. Read on.
God, that's right. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit.
And vexation of spirit, man. And what do we do now? Now, people in the world who ain't making money do what? Their spirit is vexed. You know why? Because they be like, I want to be a drug dealer like him, man. Why can't I make that money that he's making? Why can't I have what he has? Whereas when you're in the truth, you realize it's all vanity. Like, now everybody wants to be rich, where, you know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be rich. But the way you try to be rich is the wrong way.
That's right.
When you're in the truth, we understand why we're not rich. We understand why we ain't got no house on the hill and the mansion. We understand. But when you're not in here and you don't have that wisdom and that knowledge, you will sell your body thinking you're going to get that house on the hill.
That's right.
You sell drugs thinking you're going to get that house on the hill.
Right.
And it's all vexation of spirit. Whereas in here, we have that wisdom and that knowledge to understand our body is what means more than that house on the hill. Means more than that brand new Mercedes. Whereas outside of here, people don't have that knowledge. They just see it as, I have to get it. I have to get it. I have to get it. They're willing to put their life on the line to get it. They're willing to what? Receive a bribe for money and so forth. Because they ain't got that wisdom and knowledge. Whereas in here, we do, man. We don't envy the drug dealers in here. Why? Because we know what their end is going to be. We know what the end of a sinner is. And the end of a sinner is not pretty. So why would we want to do what they do to have the same end that they're going to get? The difference is most of them don't know their end. They just think, oh, okay, I'm popping champagne. I'm popping. What's that drink as well? Is that 1942 one? What's it called? 1942 something. It comes in some slim bottle. I can't remember what it's called. So someone online must know what it is, that 1942 bottle. Done something. What's it called? Nah, I don't think it's that. It's called I can't remember what it's called. It's a bottle that you're seeing everyone getting now. You know what? It's lucky. I have to Google it and find it here. I'm seeing everyone pulling up with it now. I think it's an old drink as well. I can't remember. No, my internet's messing up.
It's like, and this whole book is deep. Like Solomon goes through how vain life is and what people chase. And then at the end, the last chapter, in fact, the last line of the whole book, he sums it all up, where he says, you know what? I've been through everything, I've searched it all, man. And the best thing to do is just serve God, man.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And we're gonna get that scripture after. We're gonna get that one after. After all this, Solomon had more wisdom than everybody. And Solomon's take on the whole thing was Solomon seen the drug dealer in his glory, man, with his getting all that money. He's seen these women thinking that these influencers thinking there's someone. Oh, yeah, here it is called Don Julio. Yeah, that one. I don't know what that. How I don't know how you pronounce it. It probably is Julio. I don't know. I don't know how you pronounce it. That one. Was it Julio or Julio? Is it? Tasted it. You tasted it. That's the one that everyone seems to be posting up with now. It's 100 and something what pound a bottle. See, 100. See. Now a man who's outside of here envies the drug dealer because the drug dealer buys 10 of these a night, man.
Right.
And this man who ain't got the money, he can't afford it, and he envies it. Imagine all them drugs you sell to buy. Is it to buy this Don Julio or Julio? All them drugs you sell to purchase tequila, man. Listen, man, it ain't worth it, man. It ain't worth it. Solomon seen you doing all that to buy tequila, man. I said, listen, man, it's all vanity. Like, honestly, there was once upon a time when the drug dealer would say, "Oh, because me and my family is so poor, I'm selling drugs to move my family out the hood." How did selling drugs to move your family out the hood turn into you buying Don Julio in the club, and buying Dom Perignon in the club, and AU vodka in the club? How did it turn into all of that? Like, I thought it was just you doing it to keep the lights on. I didn't know part of you was doing it in the club. Have the finer things in life. And Solomon said, "It's vanity." Read on.
We got 1
and 15.
Ecclesiastes 1 and 15. That which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered. I commune with my own heart, saying, "Lo, I am come to great estate, and have gotten more wisdom than all they that have been before me in Jerusalem."
Got more wisdom than all they that had been before him, man. He got wisdom. Meaning the Lord gave him wisdom. So Solomon's seen all these things. Solomon's seen all the do's and the don't do's. Solomon's seen the outcome of certain things. Don't do this, don't do that. Solomon's seen all of that. But these other people, they ain't seen it. So that's why Solomon's writing this.
Right.
Searched out everything under the heavens, man. So Solomon's letting you know everything that we're doing right now. It's all been searched out. And then he's going to let you know the conclusion after all of this, what it is. But to up on read on from verse 17.
60. Come on. Verse 17. And I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this also is vexation of spirit.
And he understood that this also is vexation of spirit, man. And there's two different types of vexation of spirit, man. There's one where you want to be like the drug dealer, and there's one when you're angry. Why? Because this drug dealer can't see how his end's gonna come, but you can.
Right.
Like it sounded like it was upstairs. But you knowing how someone's end's gonna come, it vexes you because you're like, damn, this brother's so young. How did he not see that, man? Like for instance, these rappers end, we see it before it happens, man. And that's the sad thing about it. All these rappers end, we see it before it happens. All those people that we grew up with that are in jail, that are committing crime, we see their end before it happens, man. All these people driving around shooting people, we see their end and they don't see it. Like they think they just commit a murder and get away with it. It don't work like that, man. England, yeah. I think England is what? England is one of them countries where their forensics is so good, man. Listen, there could be nobody there and you could go shoot a man and police will be knocking at your door within 2 weeks, man.
Right.
Especially if you're a black man. If you're a black man, you're getting caught, man. Which lets you know we ain't supposed to commit crime. That's why we get so much. Meaning, if we didn't commit the crime, there'll be nothing for them to catch us over. But because we want to be like these so-called gangsters and criminals. Now, most of us, the majority of us, is in jail. And did you know, in English prisons, right now in English prisons, did you know that from March they've been on 23-hour bang up, man? From March they've been on 23-hour bang up. They've only been allowed out of their cell for 1 hour a day from March. Now, all them brothers that was committing crime, man, I guarantee you they would rather be in our position right now. Imagine that. You're only allowed out your cell for 1 hour a day, meaning for the rest of the day, you're in your cell with only 8 channels. They don't get no job or nothing since COVID kicked in. All they have to do is put their mask on and walk around, stretch their legs, and then back to their cell. What kind of life is that, man? Now, if they came into the I.S.U.P.K, we could have showed them this is going to be your future, man. Now, all them brothers which is in jail for crimes that they committed that they shouldn't have committed, they would be in our position right now if they could just get let out. And this is why what some of them prison tapes where you see brothers talking about the jail saying, yo, children, don't commit crime because you end up in here and it's a horrible place to be. And if I could have the chance, I wouldn't want to be in here. Guess what? I learned from their mistakes, man. I seen how jail's not the place to be. So I said, well, that's me no longer selling drugs. That's me no longer being a criminal. Why? Because I don't want to be 23-hour banged up in this police station, in the cell. We learned from their mistakes, man. Like, by their mistakes, we learn not to make their mistakes. And this is why we need to learn from everybody's past, man. Brothers tell you, yeah, I used to do this, and this was the outcome. You learn from it and be like, well, I'm not going to do that because, like you're blessed enough to learn from their mistakes, having not made the mistake. Imagine a man's been in jail for 30 years. He's had to do them 30 years. Now he's out of jail, and he's telling you, don't do this because I got 30 years for it. Imagine he had to actually go through them 30 years, whereas you don't have to go through them 30 years. All you have to do is listen to what he said, and then you be like, all right, then I'm not going to make the mistake he made because I'll get 30 years. But the thing is, we ain't learning from each other's mistakes. It seems like we have to make the mistake ourselves. And when we make the mistake ourselves, we still don't learn from that mistake. Which means we basically going backwards. But I read on.
So like, yes, I forgot I picked it up. Verse 18. For in much wisdom is much grief.
For in much wisdom is much grief. Go ahead.
And he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow.
And he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. Now, how do you increase sorrow and knowledge? By what? You make a mistake, and with that mistake you made comes the sorrow, man, and then comes the knowledge of not to do it again, man. That's what it means. He that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow, meaning you have to make mistakes to get the knowledge of why you shouldn't have done it. And with that knowledge comes the sorrow, man. You see all them brothers in jail, they've now got the knowledge that if I be a drug dealer, I'm going to get 8 years in jail. And with that knowledge comes the sorrow, man, because now they're sitting in the cell for 23 hours. That's what it's talking about. People read this and say it means that if you read a book, you'll be sorrowful. Nah, man, how does that make sense? Christian church teaches you that this means, if you read a book, you become sorrow, you get knowledge and you become sorrowful. Nah, man. It says, and he that increaseth knowledge, increaseth sorrow, meaning you get this knowledge by what? Making certain mistakes. And the sorrow increases, man. Like a man who's in jail, he's got the knowledge of his wrongdoings and he's gone through that sorrow at the same time, man. With the knowledge that he learned of why he shouldn't have done it comes the sorrow, meaning that mistake he has to learn from, man. Meaning we can increase knowledge without the sorrow by what? Learning from other people's mistakes. That's what we can do, man. If you're wise, that's what you would do. Go ahead.
Guys, like I was thinking it, well, obviously you just explained it, but I was thinking more of like when you get, the more wisdom you've got or gain, the more sorrow it comes with it, based on the fact that you know more, kind of thing. So like when you like you see your own brothers striving against each other, that's sorrow to you, because it's not, you know what I mean, that's not what you want to see.
I get you in one sense. in one sense, you could apply it like that, but this one right here says, and he that increase of knowledge, increase of sorrow, and most of the things that you've learned in your life, most of the things that we've learned in our life, we had to go through that sorrow, man, to get the knowledge. Like children do what? If they don't listen, they have to touch the heater and burn their hand and go through that sorrow to get the knowledge that this is piping hot. Now they've got the through that sorrow, they've got the knowledge this fire's hot. Now, now people that commit crime, once they hear 7 years and them sitting in that cell, through that sorrow, they get the knowledge of when I come out, I'm not going to commit crime no more.
Right.
That's how most people learn, through the sorrow. Like with black people, we have to go through the sorrow to get the knowledge. Because what we like to do is we like to believe, you know what? Well, that's his story. That happened to him. It's not going to happen to me. That's what we like to think. We like to think, well, he was just unlucky. We like to think, oh, his heart, the police caught him because he wasn't operating right. Listen, man.
Didn't run fast enough.
Right, exactly. He weren't fast enough. When really, that's going to be all of us, man. That's going to be all of us if we don't pattern up properly. But drop that. Give me Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 13. No, sir. Prophet said this, got it.
Done. Slakia, yeah, based on what we was talking about last week, as you mentioned before Saturday, and that's it. We would have done better if we knew then. So we had to go through the sorrow and feel that pain.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Listen to Oprah on that convo we had last week inspired the class. So lucky. The class came off the back of that convo that we had.
Right.
I remember when we was here, when we was like, if we would have known better. And the thing is, when we were saying it, we was thinking, if only we could go back by 10, 15 years, man.
Definitely.
Whereas, if our children learn from our mistakes, they don't need to be like us and wish they could go back 15 years, man. We were wishing we could go back 15 years, saying if we had known better, man. You should have been here. That we was like, Listen was here having the combo saying, if we would have known better, we would have done this, we would have done that, we would have done this. And now with that knowledge, we've got a ton of sorrow, so much that we're saying, you know what, we wish we could go back 15 years with what we know now. And so now the only thing we can do is what? Pass these lessons on to our children.
That's right.
Pass these on to our children and say, you know what? Do this, because if I was young, and you know what? It's funny we say that, you know why? Because when we was younger, we always had older people saying to us, yo, if I was your age, I would do this. There used to always be people saying, if I was your age, I would go to you. Can you remember those people that would say, if I was your age, I'd go to university?
Right.
When you're young, you don't want to hear it. And that's why I said, we're black people, we need to make, it seems like we need to make the mistake ourselves. Now, if I listened to some of them older people speaking back in the days, man, we would have been, doing kind of decent, man. So now we just need to teach our kids and stay on them, man. Press them. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. Like the other day, my rib said, "Oh, at school they got a book club." She goes, "They got a book club after school." I was like, "Is it free?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Should I send them?" I said, "Yeah, it's going." I said, "Shit." I said, "What?" I said, one of these kids is gonna make me a old rich wealthy man. He's going, man. Guess what? I didn't have that parent there to tell me you're going to book club, man. I didn't have my father to tell me you're staying in school and keeping your head down, man. I didn't have my father to tell me your grades better be this and better be that. And when you come into the UPK, and what you realize is with the UPK, people make it like us in the UPK don't care about education. And do you know how much graduates there is in the I.S.U.P.K? That's right. Everyone in the I.S.U.P.K that's studying graduates. Why? Because they put the Lord first and they have the right guidance behind them. Whereas with us, we didn't have that right guidance, man. And being in the UPK is for us to give our children that guidance, make sure their homework's done on time. Right. Whereas our parents was like, oh, the teacher's picking on him, the teacher's bullying him. These times, your child's rude, man. Listen, man. In here, I want to know, how come why is it you got 3 detentions this week? Listen, man, I'll go to the school, man. I'll sit down with the teacher and say, listen, put him in isolation to learn if he has to. I'll say to him, you know what? And furthermore, our children listen to us. Listen, man, you pull up at that parents' evening, your child's scared, man, hoping the teacher don't say the wrong thing. They know, man. Like, it's good to go to parents' evenings.
Right.
It's good to go to them parents' evenings. I've realized as well, once the teachers realize that a child has a father in its life, they kind of treat that child better. Like, the more they give them more, they teach them more. And when they realize that child ain't really got no father, what they do is just give them the work and don't really care. Most of these teachers don't really care about black kids anyway. So it's our job as a parent to go to the school and say, is there any extra work? These children are going to hate me for this, getting them extra work. You ask them, is there any extra work? Is there any old SATs test books that I can have? So forth. Also, you get your older children to pass down their books to the younger ones. So what? They can have an advantage so that they can, study and be higher up and whatnot. So forth.
Slack you, sir. Slack you.
Go ahead.
But like, and like I hear what you're saying there. But like, with the school, you're there, so like, because you try not to pressure the children too much because they're there all, so many hours a day, basically, like, what I mean. Then they're getting homework as well and things. I know, make sure they're on top of the game and all that, but like, because they're getting homework, you know what I mean? All that school hours and then homework on top of that and stuff like that. So I mean, yeah, they want to give them too much,
more, you know what? It more comes down to, like, you know your child, so you know what your child can do and what your child can't do. So there's going to be some children who need extra support and so forth. There's some children who don't need the extra support, but you just want to push them because you're not going to play the PlayStation all day. You do this and then you can go on the PlayStation later, so forth. Like there's or if you want your child to have a higher level of learning, like if you're pushing your child to go grammar school and whatnot, they're gonna have to study way more. Now, that's if you want them to, and they obviously it's not really their decision, but that's if you want them to go them lengths when really you don't need to go them lengths. But certain things in life you have to put more effort in. Like say for instance, a child that wants to be a footballer, he can't just play football once a week. He has to go football after school. He has to jog around the park, get his cardio, his fitness up. So it all comes down to what you want your child to do. So you don't have to give them extra work if you don't want to, but you can do. Like for instance, if you know what, I want my child to excel in certain areas, they have to study more, kind of thing. It's like with us in here. If we want to excel in more areas, you have to do more studying. You have to be in more classes and so forth. Like if you want to learn a breakdown, you have to study and be like, I want to know this. So you have to be more and more and more classes. Whereas, and sometimes it shows who studies and who don't study, because usually what happens is a man who studies, he can answer tons of questions and do certain things. A man who don't study, you don't see the growth. So in order to grow, you have to kind of like it's with everything. Like with this, like once you come in here, like you see who's in the classes, and then who's in the classes, you see the growth. Like one day they didn't know something, they learned something new, and then the ones who ain't in the classes, you don't see no growth. So it's good to kind of, and that's why it's kind of good to be versed in a bit of everything, bit of history, the Bible, of course, bit of geography, bit of science, so-called, and whatnot. It's good to be kind of well-rounded and versed in everything, because you never know what question somebody's going to ask you. Now, there's certain things where you can't, like, you can't prepare for a question that someone's going to ask you. You have to be studying over time and over time. But what scripture are you holding there? Oh yeah, Ecclesiastes 12 and 13.
No.
So, it's like you say that again, Charles. Did you say something? Oh no, sorry.
No, because Officer Karafi is already.
All right.
Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
So now Solomon done all that, man. Done all that searching everything out, going around the whole earth, looking at everything, and then now Solomon seen everything, seen all the ups, all the downs, all the highs, all the lows. And now Solomon's going to give you the conclusion of the whole matter. Now we're going to read out what the conclusion of the whole matter is. Go ahead.
Fear God and keep his commandments.
Listen, man. Solomon said, I've seen everything, man. And fear God and keep his commandments. Meaning everything else you're doing is pointless. Everything else is vanity and it's worthless. All them drugs you're selling, it's going to come to naught. All them strip clubs you go in, it's going to come to naught. And what confuses me is how man goes to the strip club and is throwing all his money, like he's throwing all his money. I'm like, huh? What do you get out of that? And the women in there hate you anyway. They hate you anyway. They're looking at you like you're so desperate and thirsty, and they would never be with you. They would just probably have sex with you because you got the money, but they would never be with you. They look at you like you're disgusting, man. And you know what? One time there's a true story. It was a black man that was buying prostitutes. And one time he had a daughter. Him and his daughter disconnected years ago. So he was buying prostitutes. He went to a hotel room to go have sex with the prostitute, and it was his daughter, man. And but did you see? This was a few years ago, and the prostitute was his daughter. And then after that, he realized he can't buy hoes no more because he goes, the same women that I'm treating as sluts and slapping them across the face and throwing money on them and doing whatever with them, other men was doing that to my daughter. Now, he didn't care when it was other men's daughters he was doing it to, but he had to see his own daughter as a whore for him to understand he shouldn't whore out nobody's daughter.
Slakia, the one. Okay. Slakia.
Yeah, go ahead.
Khan, I missed most of what you just said then. I'm going to do the thing again. I'm going to go back and come in again.
All right, no, sir.
All right.
So this man was buying whores, man, until the whore that he brought was his daughter, and he's seen her and he cried, man. Now, if that man looked at everybody's daughter like that, and if every black man looked at everybody's daughter like that, guess what? There'll be these women wouldn't have no one to shake their behind in the strip club for, man. Why? Because it would be empty. The strip club would be empty. They would have no one to shake their ass for in the club. But as long as you keep being thirsty, and what's the other word? Horny. Okay, that's a is that English term? That's a roasting. That's a real English term. As long as you keep being that, you're just allowing someone's daughter to swing up and down from a pole. Solomon saw all of this, and Solomon said, "Look, man, all of that's vanity." Read on.
Khan. And keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Solomon said, "You know what? This is the whole duty of man. What makes you a real man? Like what women like to say, he's not a real man. What makes you a real man is fearing God and keeping his commandments, man.
That's right.
That's what makes you a real man. None of this. It don't make you a real man because you send her flowers to her workplace. That don't make you a real man. It don't make you a real man because why? You let her rule over you. That don't make you a real man. A real man is someone that fears God and keeps his commandments. Stop letting women tell you what a real man is. Listen, man, I heard some woman say that some guy's a real man because he put down their laminate flooring. He put down their laminate flooring, so that made him a real man. The thing is this, whatever they like at the time, you see, whatever they like at the time, they tell you that makes you a real man. Like they hustle you, man. The game you up. They say to you, "Oh, he borrowed me his car, that makes him a real man. He borrowed me this much money, that makes him a real man."
Right.
Man, you tell him, "Shut up, man. You don't tell me what a real man is." What makes you a real? Read this again. I'm gonna show you what makes you a real man.
That's right.
Khan.
Good.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Listen, man, the Lord said that's a real man, a man that fears him and keeps his commandments. Not some man that puts down your laminate flooring. Right. Not some man that cooks you a 3-course meal and all of those stuff. Like, in this day and age, those things is looked at, oh, he's a real, like, my thing is, he's a real man. Like, what makes him a real man? Like, what is it, a real man? A real man. Like, I thought a man was just a man. Like, I just thought a man was just a man. They say he's a real man based on what they like. Now, Now, a woman like a man that don't look after his kids because he don't like the woman. The woman will say, "What? He's not a real man." So now, if he's got another woman and he looks after them kids, that means one woman says he's a real man, one woman says he's not a real man. Who decides which one of you silly women is correct? Like, who decides which one of you two is correct? What gives you the right to say? He's like, listen, I'm sick of hearing that term, a real man. Let's just move on. Give me Proverbs 22. Proverbs chapter 22. He's a real man because he put down. Listen, he was putting down the laminate flooring, and that made him a real man. Listen, I had to laugh. That made him a real man. Nothing's wrong with it, yeah, for real. If you want to do it, do it. But damn, if that makes you a real man, I don't know. So what if a homosexual man puts down laminate flooring? Does that make him a real man? If Dwayne Wade's son puts down laminate flooring, does that make him a real man? Like there's so much flaws in the argument. He's a real man. First of all, Dwayne Wade's son doesn't want to be a man. So if he puts down the flooring, is that offensive to him if you call him a real man? Like where do we draw the line on what a real man is? He's a real man. Listen, man. I'm sick of hearing that term, a real man. But read that for me.
Is that me or the one to lock it?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
What do you want me to read?
Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 6.
Oh, right. I didn't even hear that. Maybe I think it was cutting out. Proverbs 22, 6. Right. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go.
It says, train up a child in the way he should go, meaning train up these children to fear God and keep his commandments. Now, we wasn't trained up as children to fear God and keep his commandments. We were left to our own devices. So now, errors and mistakes that we made, we need to train up our children so they don't make the mistakes, man.
That's right.
That's what we need to do. Like when we grew up, we did what? Celebrated Christmas, Easter, birthdays, and everything. Now we train up our children, and now there's no Christmas tree in our house, man.
That's right.
Christmas tree in our house. Since we moved out of our parents, ain't no Christmas tree ever been in the house, man.
Right.
No Easter bunnies or Easter hunts or nothing. No Halloween masks, nothing, man. Why? Because we training up our children the right way. Now, our children, we're sneaking in their room at night, putting £1 under their pillow, man. Talking about the tooth fairy there. Listen, man. And the thing is, these children in the world hate our kids because our kids laugh and say the tooth fairy is not real. Do you really believe there's a tooth fairy? Do you really believe there's a Santa Claus? I grew up knowing the tooth fairy wasn't real, man. The tooth fairy. So your parents say, put the tooth under your pillow. So what? They come in and get the tooth from under your pillow and put £1 there. So nowadays, some parents put £5 there, man. £5 there. The tooth fairy is not real. The tooth fairy. Santa Claus is not real.
That's right.
Easter bunnies don't lay eggs. Not real. All of these things, man. And it's mad that children get to the age of 15, 16 believing Santa Claus is real. Like, how do you believe Santa Claus is real when you know underneath that the beard and the hat is your dad? You know it's your dad underneath the beard and the hat. You know it's your dad who was complaining just 2 weeks ago that they got an eviction notice because they can't pay the rent. But now he's dressed up as Santa Claus, and you actually believe it. Listen, man, we need to train our children up the right way so our children grow up silly, man. And then guess what will happen? If we break the cycle, our children will break the cycle, which means next 20, 30 years, won't be no Christmas dinner.
That's right.
I want the family around for Christmas. You'll grow up knowing Christmas is garbage, man. Why can't we come together on a normal day without Christmas, man? Why can't you just see me on any regular day except Christmas? Why do you need to wait for Christmas to go spend time with your mom? The truth is, why? You know why? The truth is, you don't love her, man. That's right. Because if you did love her, you would see your mom any other day other than these pagan holidays. Why? And the thing is, you come together on these pagan holidays, and you can't stand one another. You're at
Right.
war with one another, but you swear you love each other.
Good.
When you hate each other's guts,
Mm-hmm.
stop lying to yourself, man, and
That's
understand you don't like your siblings and they don't like you.
Mm.
But for that one day you come around at Christmas and then you find out what? You find out at the Christmas meal that your woman that you brought your brother done had sex with her 6 months ago. You find out
Right.
at the Christmas meal like EastEnders. The storylines on EastEnders ain't far-fetched. It
That's
happened in real life, man. You think it's far-fetched with Max? Max was having sex with everybody, man. His name Max. Brandon, man, damn. Listen, I'm not surprised everyone in the UK surname ain't Brandon, man, because damn,
Thank
where how
you.
Max Brandon was around, Max Brandon was having sex with everybody, man.
So like the other one.
Go ahead.
He was branding them. He was branding them.
Listen, man, Brandon.
He
Max
was
Brandon.
branding them. Say branding.
Was it Brandon? Brandon. Listen, he had everyone. Did he have Cat Slater as well? He had Stacy. He had his son's woman, man. That's how bad it was. He had his son's woman.
Yeah.
Listen, man, Max, man. Listen, that ain't far fetched, man. You keep celebrating Christmas, you're gonna find out the same way, man. Whereas you should just tell your woman we ain't celebrating no Christmas, no Easter. Guess what? She will get over it. But if you celebrate these things to please your partner, guess what? Your partner's gonna leave you anyway.
Right.
And guess what happens when your partner leaves you? The Lord ain't gonna be with you. At least if your partner leaves you for your righteousness, the Lord's still with you. Now imagine now you're a 2-time loser, you've lost your partner, and the Lord ain't on your side.
That's
Listen,
right.
man, you have to keep the Lord on your side. And if your partner wants to go, let them go, man. Shalom. Your partner says, "Oh, I want to celebrate Christmas." That's fine. You go and do it. Shalom. But I want you to come. No, you go and do it. Shalom. Like what will happen is, like if you've got kids with women in the world, what they will do is they'll throw birthday parties for them kids, man. And guess what? When you don't attend, the whole family is slandering you. The whole family is talking, "Oh, I couldn't even come to his daughter's birthday. Couldn't even do this. He couldn't even do that." Meanwhile, they don't want to mention. They don't want to mention all the good things you've done. And this is the thing in the world. They like to make these pagan holidays special. Like they look at it like it's you don't love your kids if you don't flipping celebrate some silly birthday. Celebrate some silly birthday. And all these people, and you know what's funny right now? Everybody that's celebrating their birthday right now, they're in their house miserable because we're in lockdown. I seen some video on some Instagram. Some girl brought some balloons, some birthday balloons, and was upset that she's celebrating her birthday in lockdown, talking about, "Oh, I'm celebrating my birthday for the rest of this year." Listen, man, just start. If you didn't celebrate your birthday, you wouldn't be depressed. Like what I've realized is, you see, the less things you celebrate, the less depressed you are, man. Because guess what? Christmas, we don't need to run around buying no Christmas presents. That's money saved, man. We don't need to put up no Christmas tree talking about jingle bells, jingle all the way, all this nonsense, all these Christmas songs, and that next song. What is it? Last Christmas I gave you my heart. Listen, man. If you didn't celebrate Christmas, your heart wouldn't be broken, man. He sang his ass off on that song, man. Do you see how he sang his ass off on that song, man? He goes, "Last Christmas I gave you my heart. The very next day you gave it away." Understand this, man. Understand this, man. You buy your partner some Christmas presents, and the next day they're giving everything you gave them away, man.
Right.
That song ain't far-fetched either, man. He goes, "Last Christmas I gave you my heart. The very next day you gave it away." He goes, "This year to save it from tears." And listen, man, he cried his he sang his ass off and cried his ass off on that song, man. And guess what happened? The same man who sang that song, guess what happened to him? He died on Christmas Day, man. And they was like, wow. Yeah, he actually died on Christmas Day. Some white man. What's the song called? Wham. The song's called Wham. He actually died on Christmas Day. And listen, man. And you people stress yourself out. Like what happens is, if one of your loved ones die on your birthday, you'll be like, "Oh, I can't be happy on my birthday because such and such died on this day." Maybe if you didn't celebrate your birthday, you wouldn't need to be happy on that day, man. Just treat every day as it comes. You mean to say you're mad at me because I ain't wished you a happy birthday? Because I ain't wished you a Merry Christmas? Listen, man. At least respect my beliefs, man. And the thing is, people in the world don't respect your beliefs. Like people outside the people in the world never respect your beliefs. Like you must respect that they celebrate Christmas. You must respect that they celebrate Easter. You must respect that Muslims celebrate Eid. But when you're a black man and a black woman and you say I'm an Israelite that don't celebrate Christmas, guess what? Nobody respects your beliefs, man. Your beliefs ain't respected. You go put in leave from your job. I need to stay off because I need to keep this feast. They don't respect it, man. They don't respect nothing that we do, but we must respect them. So if you don't say, listen, man, if you're trying to pursue abroad, American term abroad, if you're trying to pursue abroad and you don't say Merry Christmas or Happy Birthday to her, guess what? She's going to block you, man. And your friends as well is going to get in their ear. Her man didn't get her nothing for her birthday. Her man didn't get nothing for Christmas. But guess what? Them same women that got presents for Christmas, they're the ones that's getting beaten up behind closed doors, man.
That's right.
Same women is getting black eyes behind closed doors, man. Them same women is sharing their man with another man behind closed doors, man. Meanwhile, they're mad at your woman who's getting treated good, man. Meanwhile, they're mad at your woman who knows who's got a man for life, man.
That's right.
She's got a man for life. Meanwhile, they've just got their man on Christmas. This woman's got a man for life, and they have the cheek to fix their mouth and say, "Oh, her man don't get her nothing for Christmas. Her man don't get her nothing for birthday." Guess what? That man that you think is your man, he ain't really your man. Understand this? This sister that don't celebrate Christmas, her man actually loves her, man. Her man cares about her. Her man loves her and cares about her. Whereas as for you, your so-called man don't even want to be with you. He don't want to be with you. You give him a headache. He don't like you. He can't wait to leave. All he's doing is sorting out his passport so he can go live somewhere else to get away from you. He's going to move house and not give you the address because he doesn't want you to pull up there. And then guess what? You're going to be the miserable single woman asking this friend whose man don't celebrate Christmas, has your man got room for one more? You're going to be asking, does your man have room for one more?
That's right.
He does have room for one more, but if it's you, no. He's got room for one more, but not for a woman like you. For a woman like you, he don't have room for one more. Drop that, give me a Ecclesiastes. No, Proverbs chapter 13, verse 1.
Proverbs what, 13 and 1?
Yeah, Proverbs 13 and 1.
Yeah. I'm gonna Proverbs chapter 13, verse 1. A wise son heareth his father.
And a
wise son heareth his.
Go ahead.
A wise son heareth his father's instructions.
It says a wise son hears his father's instructions. Now, the stuff your father lays out to you, if you was wise, you would take heed, man. Same like what we lay out to our children. Now, of course, your kids is going to come to you and say, oh, why don't we celebrate Christmas? Why don't we celebrate birthdays? Because why? In school, that's all they hear is birthday and all those things. Like kids go to school and they come home and they mention what they learn in school. Like my daughter's about 3, so I had some candles. And she come to me and she goes, "Are the candles for a birthday?" And then because she's old enough to know what her birthday is, I looked at her and said, "No, these candles is for Hanukkah." So because she's old enough to know what her birthday is, she's old enough to know what the Feast of Dedication is.
That's right.
Like sometimes we have it in our mind that our children are too young to know about these things, but they're not young enough to know about Christmas and Easter.
Right.
So I said to her, these feast days are for Hanukkah, and then she repeated it, Hanukkah. And then, man, let them know.
Right.
We got tons of candles to burn during the 8-day feast, man. We're going to be burning candles on top of candles, man. For 8 days, we're going to be eating food, the whole lot, man. But read that.
A wise son heareth his father's instructions, but a scorner heareth not rebuke.
And it says, a wise son heareth his father's instructions, but a scorner don't hear if his father's correction is rebuke, man. Meaning
That's right.
meaning you can teach your children, but who's to say they're going to listen to you? No, it
Right.
doesn't mean if they don't listen to you, it doesn't mean you've done a bad job. It just means what? They don't want to listen to you. So what happens? Sometimes they have to learn the hard way, man.
That's right.
Sometimes they have to learn the hard way. You can't sit down and cry your eyes out every day. You can be like, well, I told you so and so, and you didn't listen, and this is the repercussions. This is the repercussions, man. They have to learn the hard way, man. Is there any more in that? Is that about it?
Man, eat good. That's it. I don't know.
All right, give me Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 11. Officer Crafty's got that one.
Okay.
Proverbs 26 and 11. As a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly.
And now we need to learn from people's mistakes, man. People that leave the truth, man, learn from their mistakes. It says, as a dog returneth to his vomit, meaning what? Vomit is what? Nasty, man. Meaning vomit is what? Drug dealing, being a whore, being a pimp, all of them things. Imagine you've walked away from that and left it, and then now you go and return back to it, man. That's the vomit, man. That's the vomit that you're returning to. Now you've seen when people leave the truth and return back to what they was doing before. It don't ever work out, man. It don't ever work out. There's a ton of lunatics that what? Like you should learn from everyone that's left the truth. Learn not to be like them. Learn not to be like them. Some lunatic was saying, "Oh, he can't do this. He can't do this. This Bible stuff because he needs to study for his exams and whatnot." And listen, man, them results was terrible, man. Them results was terrible, man. I seen them results and it was D's and E's and C's, man. Listen, man, you better have to stay here. Listen, you're not the smartest. You're not the smartest. You might as well just stay here, man. Even in you trying to be in the world, your results was terrible. Your results was D's and E's. Talking about, oh, I'm gonna have a great career. You return back to your vomit, meaning you can't do this. You need to go be a criminal and do whatever. Meanwhile, studying at the same time, and your results was terrible, man. Like, I looked at them results, man. I was like, damn. Did you study? You said you needed to study. I looked at them results like, you don't look like you studied. This is the thing, man. Don't leave the truth, man. Now that failed, you got nothing to fall back on. Whereas if you put the Lord first, if you don't do too good in the English exam, guess what? You still got the school and the Lord to fall back on, man. You got brothers to uplift you, man, and say to you, don't worry, I'm going to help study with you next time. Now, you're sitting in some dark room trying to read a book and you're just not getting it, man, because, you're not smart enough. Drop that one. Give me 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 20. Like the Bible says what? Put the Lord first and everything will be added unto you. Now you can't say, oh, I'm gonna come do the truth after my life gets better. It doesn't work like that, man. You know why? Because your life is never going to get better. If you put it like that, your life is never going to get better. You can't put the Lord second and think your life's going to get better. You have to put the Lord first and then your life will get better. But most people don't do that, so they have to learn the hard way.
2 Peter 2 and 20. For if after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord our Savior.
Meaning what? They've escaped the pollutions of the world, meaning the things the world wants you to do. Christmas, the Easters, all of them. They've escaped them things. Go ahead.
Yahushua Christ. They are again entangled therein, and overcome the latter end is worse with them than the beginning.
Meaning what? Now, because they've done that, because they've came into the truth, and they got the knowledge of the Lord, don't eat pork, don't do this, and then they go back into the world, the latter end of them is worse than the beginning, man. The latter end of them is worse than the beginning. We should look at that and learn from it, man. Listen, man. I seen someone that used to be in the school the other day and they left the truth. And every time I see that shaved face, that lets me know I better stay in the I.S.U.P.K, man. Every time I see that shaved, gay, baby face, lets me realize I better stay in the I.S.U.P.K, man. Instead of being a soft coward that leaves. And it's weird to me, like everyone that leaves the truth, when you look at their face, have you noticed their face just looks completely different? You look at their face, they just look all soft and weak and depressed and a coward and all of them kind of things. All right, listen, I don't need to leave the truth to find out the hard way. I'm gonna stay here and learn from your mistakes of why I should never leave these doors, man. I'm gonna sit here and understand why I should never leave these doors. The more I see your shaved face pop up in my head is why I need to be here, man. Is why I need to not leave the truth. The way you look all down low, probably are down low, is why I need to stay here, man, and never leave this truth.
That's right.
If you don't want to be down low, you don't ever leave this truth, man. But I read on.
Come, for it is better for them to have not known the way of righteousness.
It is better for them to have not known the way of righteousness. How can you know eating pork's a sin, but then you leave the truth and then go and eat pork? How can you know it's a sin to have a line up and shave off all your beard and then you go and do it? Like you know it's wrong. While you're there, you know it's wrong. While you're ordering that pork, you know it's wrong. Your conscience says I'm eating this pork, but you still do it. It was better for you to have not known it was wrong. Why? Because by you knowing it was wrong, it's just worthless because you ain't done nothing with that knowledge that you had. With that knowledge that you had, it was wrong. You done nothing with it, man. So it was better for you to have not known, because now the Lord's going to punish you even more now. Why? Because you know now there's plenty of people who died not knowing. You're a man that knew and gave up what you knew to go do all them things. It was better for you to have not known. Read on.
Then, after they have known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them.
Now they had the holy commandment delivered unto them. Like, how can we leave this once we've had this holy commandment delivered unto us? How can we leave this? We know the importance of brotherhood. Once we know that we must love each other, like you leave this to go and do what? You leave it to go and do what? Like, people make out like what? Being in the truth hurts your life. When you look at people who live the truth, you look at their life and their life is hurt, man. They're upset.
That's right.
They're depressed. They're not happy. They try and make out like they're happy, but you see the stress in their face, man. Like, understand this. Once you leave here, no one will call you no more, man. At least in here, if you do something wrong, brothers will check you. Why? Because they love you, man. A brother will tell you don't do that because they love you. You see, once you leave here, you're left to your own devices. You can do whatever the hell you want, man. Like John Muhammad said, we don't care if you smoke crack. Once you leave here, do whatever you want, man. You're left to your own devices. Now in here, we ain't going to let you do that, man. Why? Because we know you want to serve God, but if you don't want to serve God, that's fine by you, man. You be out there doing whatever you want, and then you're going to have to make all these mistakes and learn the hard way. Whereas in here, we can show you why you shouldn't smoke crack. We can show you why you shouldn't smoke cigarettes. We can show you why you shouldn't take drugs and smoke weed and all these things. We can show you. But if you're not inside here and you don't want to be inside here, there's not much we can tell you. You're just going to have to keep smoking that weed until the cancer diagnosis comes. And then what do? Oh, I'm going to drink some sour sap because sour sap gets rid of, what do you say? Sour sap gets rid of cancer. Oh, my alkaline levels is my alkaline levels is too high and I need to lower my alkaline levels to get rid of this cancer. Listen, man. Listen, man. Watch all these videos, man. You see all these things. Or you could just not smoke weed, man. That's right. You could just not take drugs.
That's right.
Now you're paranoid schizophrenic. Now you're saying, oh, my anxiety is kicking in and I need to smoke to calm my anxiety. Listen, man. You come in here, we can teach you how to calm your anxiety. We can teach you how to stop having panic attacks. We can teach you these things, man. We can teach you how to what? Deal with situations other than getting high. We can teach you these things, man, other than getting high. Listen, prevention is better than cure, man. Now, all the mistakes you made, you're now looking for a cure when you could have been in here and could have prevented them. We could have prevented your problems, man. That's what we could have done. Prevented them, but what? You didn't want to listen. So now you're looking for a cure for all the mistakes you made. When, if you listened, you could have prevented it, man. Read on.
But it is happened unto them according to the true proverb.
It's happened unto them according unto the true proverb. And where did we read the same proverb? In the book of Proverbs. Read on, which is like what, a book of wise sayings.
The dog is turned to his own vomit
Meaning
again.
a dog vomits. Like usually when people vomit, you walk away from it because it's horrible. But now, if you walk away from the world and go back to it, it's like a dog returning to its own vomit. Vomit is something which is nasty, disgusting, which is filthy. And you walking back to it is you walking back to something filthy. Go ahead.
And the soul that was washed to her wallowing in the mire.
And a soul is a female pig. A soul is a female pig that was washed, meaning imagine if you wash a pig, you clean up this pig, and this pig just goes and rolls around in the mire, which is mud. This pig just goes and rolls around in the mud and makes itself dirty again. That's like you've been washed, and then you've just gone right back into the dirt. That's what that's saying right there, man. We ain't supposed to do them things, man. The Bible says what? A righteous man falls 7 times and gets back up. Just because you fell, that don't mean you should stay down and say, oh, I'm leaving the truth now. You get back up, man, and stay in the truth, man. Don't leave the truth. Give me Zalpan, give me 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 1.
Okay. First Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1. Moreover, brethren, I would not that you be ignorant, that you should be ignorant.
Go ahead.
How that all our fathers were under the cloud.
All our
and
fathers,
all passed.
Meaning what? It's speaking to the Israelites. Now, when it says now, a Christian will read this and say all our. Now, when it says all our fathers, now was the whole world under this cloud. Only the Israelites. So when Christians like to go to it at all people, here it says all our fathers. So you could just take them to the chapter in Exodus or Leviticus, wherever it is, and show them who was under this, who followed this pillar by day and this pillar by night, and see who was under it, man. It says all our fathers. Now, a Chinese man, he reads that and thinks his father was under there. Nah, man, your father was eating bat somewhere, man. Your father was eating bat and roasting dogs somewhere, man. Your father went under this cloud. East Indian man reads his father was under this cloud. Nah, man, your father was somewhere in India chewing on a stick, man, chewing on some tree bark, and, putting Mendy on their hands, man. He went under this cloud. Read on.
God. I will not have you ignorant how that our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea.
All passed through the sea.
And
this is only on about us. Why? Because them Egyptians didn't pass through the sea. They drowned in it, man.
That's right.
They drowned in the sea. Only we passed through the sea. When it says all, you can go to the scripture in Exodus 12 where they leave Egypt, and then you read on to where they did what? Passed through the sea, man. It says all our fathers, which is written, you know, the book of Corinthians is written only to the Israelites, man. Read on.
That's right. Okay, verse 2. And we're all baptized unto Moses in the cloud.
Meaning they all followed Moses, man. They was all under Moses at one time until afterwards they started to decide they wanted to do their own thing. At one stage, they was all under Moses, following him, understood Moses is the man in charge. Moses is the leader at this time. They understood at one time until afterwards they started to want to do their own thing. But I read on.
Right. Verse 3. And did all eat the same spiritual meat.
And they all ate the same meat. You see, when they was in that wilderness, they ate the same things, man. All of them ate that spiritual meat, all ate the same things and so forth. Like we all ate it together, man. We was all one. When we left Egypt, we was all one, eating the same things, man. What this brother was eating, I was eating too, man. Same thing. Read on. So,
like the other one, is that directly speaking on food, or the fact that the knowledge was all in one accord?
This one's twofold. So when it says they all ate that same spiritual meat, meaning they all had one understanding and they also ate the same things. Because at one stage they always eating manna. Always eating manna, and also they all that same spiritual drink is what? They all drank of that water that came out of the rock. That when when Moses cracked the rock, they all drank that water and so forth. We all ate the same things, drank the same things. Meaning they was
it's the whole it's the whole thing, innit? It's the whole thing.
So they was in a place where what? No food was, but food appeared. The Lord made sure they ate in a place where there was no food. In a place where if you go to a desert today, you're gonna drop dead. You're going to drop dead because there's no food. These peoples were in a wilderness, uninhabited place, the desert everywhere, hot, everything. The Lord made sure they had meat, made sure they had water. They all ate and drank. That's how they survived, because they all ate and drank the same things. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock, and that rock, Salakia, that followed them, and that rock was Christ.
Now this is all of it coming together, meaning it's a combination of everything. That rock was Christ. So everything that they did everything together back then. The way they left Egypt, the way they was in the wilderness, the way they ate, the way they drank, the way they all was under the cloud, under Moses, they all done that same thing, man. Read on.
Verse 5. But with many of them, God was not well pleased.
And with many of them, God was not well pleased. Now, we need to see these things of why God wasn't well pleased. We need to see why God wasn't well pleased and then learn from those mistakes. So we need to see why God wasn't pleased and then learn from what mistakes that they made that we shouldn't make today. Read on.
For they were overthrown in the wilderness.
They were what?
They were overthrown in the wilderness.
They was overthrown in the wilderness, man. Tons of them died in the wilderness. Now it's going to let you know why some of them died in the wilderness. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Now these things were our examples.
These things were what?
These things were our examples.
This is the thing, man. These things is our examples. These things is our examples of what we should not do, because they was overthrown for doing these things. So we're going to read what they done and let these be our examples of why we shouldn't do them. Now, if you want to be overthrown, you feel free to do them. But if you don't do what they do. Read on.
To the intent we should not lust after evil things.
That's one. We shouldn't lust after evil things like what they did. Go ahead.
As they also lusted.
They lusted after evil things, like they wanted what? A golden calf and all these things. They wanted to worship a calf and all of these things. They wanted to worship idols.
Right.
They got so mad when they couldn't make it that Anna said, and give me earrings and so forth. And they danced around it and all of them things, worshiping the idols. Now, that should let us know. All right, then. We shouldn't worship idols, man. That's what you should let us know. This should let us know. All right, then. My forefathers who passed through this rock, who passed through this water, who ate this spiritual meat, drank this spiritual water, some of them died. Why? Because they wanted to worship an idol. That should let you know I can't follow Islam no more, man. That should let you know I can't follow Christianity no more. Right. That should let you know I can't be a Buddhist no more. That's what it should let you know. It should be an example. Now, if you read this and you don't take heed and you still be a Muslim, don't be surprised when you get overthrown, man.
That's right.
You're a Christian, don't be surprised when you get overthrown. These things was written. Those people had to learn the hard way. Those people learned the hard way so we can learn from it, and we don't learn the hard way, man. But if we don't want to learn from them examples, I guess we have to learn the hard way too. And then guess what will happen? You will eventually be the story of why someone shouldn't do what you did. Right. You will be the story of why someone shouldn't do the things that you did. Read on.
Verse 7. Neither be ye idolaters, as were some of them.
Neither be ye idolaters, as were some of them. We shouldn't be walking around with some no Caesar board chain, man. So-called Jesus piece. Walking around with the Jesus chain and a cross on your neck, and you're kissing that cross, and you're praying to the white Jesus on the wall. Neither be idolaters, as were some of them. Now, our grandparents was idolaters because they didn't know any better. Now that we know better, we need to teach our kids not to be idolaters. Now, we breaking them curses. You know why? Because Caesar Borgia will never ever be on the wall in our house, man. A
Right.
Christian cross will never ever be on the wall in our house. A
That's
Christmas
right.
tree will never ever be in our house. Because we
That's
break
right.
curses, which means our kids won't do it, their kids won't do it, their kids won't do it. And then when it's time for us to come back in the earth, we don't have to see no damn Christmas tree.
That's
We don't
right.
have to worship a white Jesus. We don't have to be no Muslim and so forth.
Right.
Read on.
It's like the other one.
Go ahead.
And the and the anchor as well. We don't want to, you know, that anchor.
Yeah, that one too. And you know I've realized most all people that walk around with the anchor, the men are homosexuals and the women are whores, man. Have you noticed? Like 99.1%, which is 100% of them, man. Homosexuals are whores walking around with the ankh and giving you all of that Egyptian nonsense. There's no need to try and make it sound pretty and say, because I'm an Egyptologist. Just tell me you're a whore, man. That's it. Just tell me you're a whore. It's synonymous.
Right.
If you're a man, just say you're a homosexual. It's synonymous. You're trying to put titles in. I'm an Egyptologist, and I'm an Awabian with 720 degrees of knowledge. That just means you're homosexual. That's all it means. That's all I get from the conversation is you're a homosexual and you're a whore. That's all I get from it. But read on.
No, can't. So like the other one for me.
Right.
Like, because I was just gonna ask you what makes the men homosexual, because they're definitely homosexual, but what makes the, but I kind of figured it out, because obviously they put the queens, as they say, right? They put the women over themselves and they worship the women. So it's automatic that they're putting the women up and putting themselves down. The women are elevated. Do you know what I'm saying? And obviously the women ain't putting the men in the manly and menful positions. So it's all backwards, man. It's Christianity all over again. It's Christianity all over again, basically.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And what makes them gay is what the gods that they followed was gay. Also,
that's right.
The gods that they followed was gay. So once you start to follow anything, you start to take on the spirit of what that is. So if you're following some gay deity, you're gonna end up behaving gay also. So forth. And it's like when a man tries to be a woman, he tries to take on the spirit of a woman because he's trying to be something not. So that's why they're gay, because they're following all them gay deities and all of that nonsense. But, go ahead.
Verse, what was that? Verse 7. I was in verse 7. Neither be idolaters, as were some of them. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play.
They rose up to play, man. They rose up to go dance around that golden calf. Idolaters, man. That's what it says. Neither be idolaters with some of them, meaning they ate and drank in worship of them things, man. Same like what we do on Christmas. Same like what we do on Easter. Same like what we do on all them things. We rise up to play, man. And the Lord overthrew them for it. So we need to learn from this example as to why we can't do them things. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Neither let us commit fornication.
Fornication is what? Fornication is what? Unlawful sex, man. That's what fornication is, unlawful sex. It says neither let us commit fornication. Go ahead. Neither
let us commit fornication, as some of them committed.
Some of them committed. I can't remember his name, bro. The Midianite woman in the tent, man. There's a plague going on. You see him. He should have learned from what was going on, but he didn't. He should have learned that all these people are dying. Why? Because they having sex with the other nations. This man didn't learn. What did he do? Seen all of this going on and said, "Oh, that's just them," and took her in his tent and started having sex with her, man. So much that Phineas had to go stand with the javelin, so forth. They also died for that as well. So we need to realize, all right, then we can't do that either, or we might get overthrown. Read on.
As some of them committed and fell in one day, 23,000.
Listen, man, 23,000, man. 23,000 of them died in one day. Do you know how large that number is? That's a whole lot. Died in one day. Why? Because they just had to what? get them women of the other nation, man. We should learn from the Lord flooding the earth, man. If that's not enough,
right.
they should have learned from the earth, Lord flooding the earth. I guess that wasn't enough, man.
Yeah.
So 23,000 people had to die for us to learn a lesson. And guess what? We still ain't learned our lesson. We still ain't learned our lesson. We want to go. We want to go party. We say, oh, let's go clubbing in Wales to get white girls. That's what black men. That's what black men saying. We're gonna go where Liverpool. Yeah, we're gonna go Wales and Liverpool to get some white girls. That's what they say. Like, what's wrong with black women, man? What's wrong with black women, man? What the Lord said you can have, you don't want it. I don't understand it. So you want to go get women and get overthrown. Some of us have to learn the hard way. We want to go Scotland, Wales, Liverpool, all these places for white women, man. Read on.
Right, Khan. And it fell in one day 23,000. Verse 9. Neither let us tempt Christ, as some of them also tempted, and were destroyed of serpents.
We tempted. He said, don't tempt Christ, like as some of them also tempted. Like we tempted the Lord back then. We tempted the Lord back then. And we were what?
Destroyed of serpents. And
we were destroyed of serpents. So much that what? Moses had to make a brass serpent, and whoever looked on it, he wouldn't die. So much that the Lord had to send serpents amongst the people. Because, you know, we have to learn the hard way. Now, that should be a lesson, man, to us. Read on.
Serpents. Verse 10. Neither murmur ye as well as some of them.
They murmured against God, and Moses said, oh, I'd rather be in Egypt, man. I don't want to be here, man. This is long. It was better off in Egypt, man. Imagine the Lord's taking you out of a place to save you and bring you to a great land, and all you can do is moan about you don't want to be there. I don't want to be here, man. I'd rather be in Egypt, man. Life was better. This man Moses come ruin my life. When Moses didn't ruin your life, man, Moses saved your life, man. Moses seen that you had a disgusting quality of life, and the Lord seen you had a disgusting quality of life and was going to give you a good quality of life. But we couldn't see past it. We didn't have the knowledge and wisdom to see past it. To us, it was just, you know what? We're in the wilderness and we're just walking around. I don't want to be here. Just take me back to Egypt. Like how black people's got that mind state today. You lot are just on the corner, man. You lot need to just move off the corner, get a job. No. That's all this. Every week they say to us, get a job, this and that. Meanwhile, guess what? You're telling us to get a job, and you've lost your job because you work in Debenhams, man. You've lost your job because you work in Topshop. Guess where I'm going tomorrow to my job. meanwhile, you're telling me to get a job, and you've lost yours now. And this is why sometimes you should shut your mouth and just not murmur. Sometimes you shut your mouth and not murmur, because the Lord knows what He's doing. So sometimes it's best to, you know, it's best to just be quiet, man. Because where are we going tomorrow? To our job, man. And we don't want to go, and you want to go and you can't. You want to go and you can't, and we don't want to go, but we're going. Right. So sometimes just shut your mouth, man. Like Johnny Muhammad says, you got a fresh mouth. Is that the term? You got a fresh mouth. Read on.
God, verse 10 again. Neither murmur ye, as some of them also murmured, and were destroyed of the destroyer.
And they were destroyed of the destroyer, man. Meaning what? The Lord's got an angel that destroys. He just sends the angel, destroyer, do this. The angel did what? Sent serpents amongst the people. Because why? He was murmuring. And when you do that, the Lord's a man of war, man. Sometimes, you know, just keep your mouth shut. Sometimes just keep your mouth shut and just be miserable in your head in silence, man. By you murmuring with one man, that then makes him murmur. Then the next man, then it spreads like wildfire. Then before you know it, and there was one stage where Moses said, yo, Lord, the people be ready to stone me, man. Moses only do the work of the Lord and was ready to stone him, man. Read on.
Right. Verse 11. Now all these things happened unto them for ensamples.
Happened to them for ensamples. An ensample's like an example, man. Imagine they had to go through it for us to learn from it. They had to go through it so we learn from it. So it's only right we learn from it, man. Read on.
Right. And they are written for our admonition.
So we must read these things and be admonished and be like, you know what? I'm gonna learn from this because I don't want this to be me. I don't want this to be us. We meant to read these things and say, I'm gonna learn from this. Go ahead.
Upon whom the ends of the world were come.
So the time that we living in now, all the brothers in the past, in the scriptures and whatnot, they've made the mistakes and they've been recorded, so we don't have to make them mistakes. Like you just think, oh, we've been left here with no blueprint. We got the blueprint, man. The Bible's the blueprint. We've been left here with all the records, every last record we've been left with, all the mistakes that they made. We've been left end samples, so we don't make them mistakes. We've been left examples, so we don't make them mistakes. And with that brings us to the end of the class. We'll continue next week.
Okay. The I.S.U.P.K started out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General YAHANNA. Rule for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will call each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3 and 8 to 10, means 10th in the Hebrew Ma'ashra, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the Treasury Department or the teacher. Pre-fund, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you like to give. Upcoming holy convocations is a Hanukkah, or I come at the bulletin board in the hallway. And if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school,
it's like December 9th, which is next week, Wednesday. Because when we say the actual date, people think it's further than it is. But it's next week, Wednesday, December 9th, 7 p.m.
If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black, like boots, shirt, pants, headband, and headscarf. With that, I'm mad. Right in the face of each. And the Lord's Prayer, Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shamkar, Yahweh, Malach, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, I.S.U.P.K, Ba'aratazah, Kawah, Hayah, Ba Shemayim, Nafanana, Lakam, Yawam, Wasalakinawa, Kabawafinawa, Kasalakinawa, Kabawafinawa, Wala'ah, Tabi'ainawa, Walasayawan, Abol, Hawashinawa, Mayan, Right, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahapapara, La'awalamyam, Aman.
In the English, our Father, art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day, our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
With that, when you want to speak to the teacher of Israel, I'm Madam Shabbat. I'm Madam Barak. Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah.
Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah.
Yajamata.